Now we will be discussing reactivity series. What is reactivity series? It is a list of metals arranged in the order of their decreasing activity. If you see this series, potassium, sodium, calcium, magnesium, aluminum, zinc, iron, lead, hydrogen, copper, mercury, silver, gold. The elements are arranged from top to bottom. This series of metals arranged as per their decreasing reactivity. It is a list of metals which are arranged from top to bottom as per their reactivity. That is called reactivity series. Also called activity series. It is also called activity series. It is also called activity series. Potassium is most reactive. Gold is least reactive. Gold is least reactive. That is called reactivity series. What is reactivity series? It is a list of metals arranged in the order of their decreasing activity. If we see the topmost metal, potassium is most reactive. Come to the bottom metal, least reactive. And as you move from top to bottom, reactivity is decreasing. By performing various displacement reactions, they frame this. They have included reactivity series. They have included reactivity series. For example, you see here, iron reacts with copper sulfate. You are getting FeSO4 plus copper. Copper is placed below iron. Sorry. Copper is placed below iron. Where is copper placed? It is below iron. So it means iron is more reactive than copper. So iron will displace copper. Iron will displace copper. And where is zinc placed? Zinc is above copper. So zinc also can displace copper from copper sulfate to give zinc sulfate plus copper. Zinc sulfate plus copper. But Cu plus FeSO4, this reaction is not possible. Why? Because the reactivity series itself is saying the position of copper is below iron. So copper does not react with iron sulfate, but iron reacts with copper sulfate. That is the information given by reactivity series or activity series. It tells us which metal can displace which metal. Today we are going to discuss how do metals and non-metals react. As you already know, the elements are existing in the form of metals, non-metals and metallites. Today we will be discussing how do metals and non-metals react. Few examples are discussed in our textbook regarding metals, that is sodium, magnesium, aluminum, potassium, calcium. Sodium whose atomic number is 11, magnesium atomic number is 12, aluminum atomic number is 13, potassium atomic number is 19, calcium atomic number is 20. As you already know how to write the electronic configuration, you learned this from 9th class. How to write the electronic configuration? What do you mean by electronic configuration? The distribution of electrons in various shells or the arrangement of electrons in various shells is termed as electronic configuration. You know what is the electronic configuration for sodium 2, 8, 1? Because first shell accommodate 2 electrons, L shell accommodate, the capacity of L shell is 8 electrons, M shell it is 18 but it is limited to 8. Magnesium 12, 2, 8, 2. Aluminum 2, 8, 3. Potassium 2, 8, 1. Calcium 2, 8, 2. All these are examples of metals. Coming to non-metals, nitrogen, oxygen, fluorine, phosphorus, sulfur, chlorine. Nitrogen atomic number is 7. Oxygen atomic number 8, fluorine atomic number is 9, phosphorus 15, sulfur 16, chlorine 17. Electronic configuration of nitrogen 2, 5, oxygen 2, 6, K and L shells. These electrons are accommodated in Km, L shell, phosphorus 2, 8, 5, sulfur 2, 8, 6, chlorine 2, 8, 7. And here also you can see noble gases which are least reactive or which do not react or which are very stable. Some of the examples are discussed in our textbook. Helium, neon, argon. Helium, whose atomic number is 2. Neon atomic number is 10. Argon atomic number is 18. There are only 2 electrons, and these 2 electrons are accommodated in K shell here. KL 2,8 KL M 2,8,8. So if we see this sodium, how many electrons are present in the last shell? There is only 1 electron. If you come to chlorine, how many electrons are present in the last shell? There is only 7 electrons. But if you see noble gases, how many electrons are present in the last shell? 8. With respect to neon and argon it is 8, and with respect to helium it is 2. Elements having 8 electrons in their outermost shell or in their valence shell, they are very stable. They are very stable, they do not react. So here we are going to discuss how do metals and non-metals react. So metals and non-metals tend to attain stability. They want to attain stability. How this stability is attained? This stability is attained by either losing and gaining of electrons, losing and gaining of electrons, or by sharing of electrons, So metals having, for example, sodium metal here. Sodium metal is having 1 electron in the outermost shell. See please here. The electrons that are present in K and L shell cannot be removed because they are under the influence of the nucleus. Sodium metal can easily lose the electron present in the M shell. So sodium metal whose atomic number is 11, electron configuration is 2,8,1, loses 1 electron to form cation. And how it got plus charge here? You know how this sodium got plus charge here? Because there are 11 protons, 10 electrons. 11 minus 10 plus 1 plus sodium got plus 1. The charge attained by sodium after losing 1 electron is plus. That's why it got plus here. Similarly, this sodium metal loses electrons. So now we came to know what are metals. Metals readily loses electrons. Now coming to non-metals here. Non-metals. Several examples are discussed. We will strictly confine to chlorine, whose atomic number is 17. Chlorine electronic configuration 2,8,7. It needs 1 electron to attain octet. If this 7 has to become 8, it needs to gain 1 electron. If sodium has to attain octet, it needs to lose this electron. See here, losing electron you show you on your right hand side, gaining electron you show on your left hand side. After gaining 1 electron, how many protons are present initially? Initially there are 17 protons. How many electrons are there now? 18 electrons. Plus 17 minus 18 minus 1. That's why chlorine got negative charge. So this oppositely charged ions, sodium has attained positive charge, chlorine has attained negative charge. Oppositely charged ions attract each other and they are held together. They are held very strongly by strong electrostatic force of attraction. This is nothing but an ionic bond. You can say ionic bond, or ionic bond is formed between metal and non-metal. Ionic bond is also called electrovalent bond. So this, as these are oppositely charged ions, they are held together by strong electrostatic force of attraction, and a new bond is formed in between them. What is that bond between sodium and chlorine? That is called ionic bond or electrovalent bond. The bond formed by losing and gaining of electrons is called ionic bond or electrovalent bond. Ionic bond or electrovalent bond is formed between a metal and a non-metal. And here also we have several examples to discuss by taking magnesium chloride and aluminum chloride. Regarding how to metals and non-metals here, we are going to explain by taking another example, that is magnesium chloride. You know, magnesium is a metal whose atomic number is 12 electronic configuration is 2, 8, 2. It needs to lose, or it loses 2 electrons so that it becomes a octet, that is 2, 8. So that it attains or it gets 8 electrons in its outermost shell. Chlorine, which is a non-metal, whose atomic number is 17, electronic configuration 2, 8, 7. In order to attain octet, it needs to gain 1 electron. It gains 1 electron and it attains octet. From where it is gaining this electron? It is nothing but metal. Sodium metal, magnesium metal is losing electron here. So this is explained by taking magnesium chloride. Magnesium has 2 electrons in its outermost shell. There are 2 chlorine atoms. This 1 electron of magnesium is donated to 1 chlorine atom. Another electron of magnesium is donated to another chlorine atom. So magnesium is losing 2 electrons here. You are getting 2 plus, and chlorine taken twice, and it is attaining negative charge here because it is gaining electrons. So this is how magnesium chloride is formed. Magnesium ion is a cation. Chloride ion is an anion. Both are oppositely charged particles. They attract each other and they are held together by strong electrostatic force of attraction to exist as MgCl2. The bond formed by losing and gaining of electrons is called ionic bond. So MgCl2 is an example of ionic compound. Coming to AlCl3, aluminum chloride. Aluminum, whose atomic number is 13. Electronic configuration 2, 8, 3. It loses 3 electrons and it attains octet. That is, it is getting 8 electrons in its outermost shell. Chlorine, whose atomic number is 17. Electronic configuration 2, 8, 7. It gains 1 electron. It gains 1 electron to become Cl minus. So that the number of electrons in the outermost shell become 8. Now AlCl3. I am going to explain how AlCl3 is formed. Aluminum has 3 electrons in the outermost shell. These are the 3 electrons. 1, 2, 3. There are 3 chlorine atoms. Aluminum is losing these 3 electrons to the 3 chlorine atoms. So therefore, aluminum is losing 3 electrons. So you will get plus 3. And there are 3 chlorines. And all these chlorines are getting negative charge. Al plus 3, Cl minus 1. What are getting? AlCl3. AlCl3 is an example of ionic compound. Now we are going to discuss ionic bond. Define ionic bond. The bond formed by losing and gaining of electrons. You know, losing and gaining of electrons. The bond formed by losing and gaining of electrons is called ionic bond. You know, metals lose electrons. Non-metals gain electrons. The bond formed by the losing and gaining of electrons between, that is, metals and non-metals, that is called ionic bond, or you also call it as electrovalent bond. Now we will discuss what are the properties of ionic compounds. What are its properties? We have to mainly focus on four properties. That is a physical nature, melting and boiling point, solubility, and conduction of electricity. Physical nature, and melting and boiling points. Generally, these ionic compounds are solids. They are very hard because there is a strong force of attraction between the oppositely charged ions. So they are generally solids. They are very hard, but when you apply some pressure or when you apply some force, they are brittle. They may break into pieces. Melting points and boiling points. They have high melting and boiling points because considerable amount of energy is required to melt them, or we need to supply heat in order to melt them or boil them, and also there is a strong force of attraction between these oppositely charged particles. So they have high melting and boiling points because there is a strong force of interaction between these oppositely charged ions. That is the reason here. Solubility. Generally, ionic compounds are soluble in water, insoluble in solvents such as kerosene and petrol. You know salt, sodium chloride, whose molecular formula is NaCl, common salt or table salt. It dissolves in water, but it is insoluble in kerosene. Please, you can check this. Conduction of electricity. The ionic compounds, they are good conductors of electricity. They are good conductors of electricity. In molten state and in aqueous state, they are good conductors of electricity in molten state and aqueous state, but not in solid state. Not in solid state. Please remember here. They do not conduct electricity in solid state. They conduct electricity in molten state and aqueous state. Because why? In molten state and aqueous state, because the ions are free. The ions are free to move to the respective electrodes. Movement of these charged particles to the respective electrodes is nothing but electrolysis or conduction of electricity in a solution involves movement of charged particles to the respective electrodes. This process is called electrolysis. Ionic compound, they are good conductors of electricity only when, only in molten state and in aqueous state, but not in solid state, because the ions are very free in molten state and in aqueous state. Molten state and in aqueous state. For example, sodium chloride, when dissolved in water, it is having Na plus and Cl minus ions. They move to the respective electrodes, that is cathode and anode. This is called electrolysis.